Well, in case you guys haven't heard or seen yet, there are a ton of new icons leaked for FC26. And it was all over YouTube and Twitter today. There's been a ton of coverage on it already if you have not seen it yet. There's a ton of icons we didn't expect to see, a ton of icons that are favorites coming. We've been waiting to see for a couple of years now, and it looks pretty awesome. Now, as you know, on this channel, we dive into like how reliable some of this stuff is. Unfortunately, some of it maybe isn't as reliable as you would hope for it to be. So we'll talk about which ones those are here in just a second. If you guys would like to buy coins, you can go to mmoxp.com. There will be a link in the description down below. They are the cheapest and the safest option. You can use my code JFC at checkout for an 8% discount. A lot of FC26 stuff to talk about because that's all that they care about right now. But we will talk about a couple of FC25 things in this video, of course. And thank you guys for watching as always. If you guys liked the video, I would probably kiss you on the lips. And okay, we'll start with FC25 content because this does still come out on a day-to-day basis, guys. Yes, they do drop new content every day, believe it or not. And I thought this might be a mistake, this 92 plus 1 of 3 tots or shapeshifters pick. I don't know why it's repeatable once in 6 days, and it's any tots has 92 rated or shapeshifters players. And I thought this was like 90% chance of being a mistake, and this was supposed to be repeatable, but apparently we're 8 hours in now, and it's not repeatable. So I guess it's not a mistake, and this content just... it kind of sucks, or at least that part of it, right? And a new Evo came out, guys. If you guys didn't see it, it's paid again because that's what we do now around here. And it's an okay Evo. It's one we saw leaked yesterday in the video. Now, I did also not even realize the training camp Evo. I thought for some reason this came out in like a week. No, it's 20 days from when you select this, and it's 500K. I don't know why I'm just realizing this now, but that's kind of insane that they want you to put 500K into an evolution that you won't get fully for 3 weeks. That's crazy. They expect you to drop 500K for a card you'll get in 3 weeks. I for some reason didn't realize that until now. I don't know why that is because this has been that way since release, but I don't know. That's a tall task. And last thing I want to say here quickly, shameless self-promotion, but guys, I think I'm going to do it. I think for next year's game, I'm going to just like play a shit ton of gameplay on my second channel and go back to some of the tips videos on this channel and stuff like that. I think even if I'm not the biggest fan of the gameplay, I'm going to learn to just take it in stride and kind of not take it too seriously. I kind of want to be a promoter of like the not taking things too serious gameplay wise stuff, like more fun teams, more fun tactics, and kind of play my own brand that way, and hopefully that'll be fun to watch. Because this year I pretty much, if you've been around this year, I kind of ignored gameplay. I didn't really upload much on this channel or on the second channel of like any gameplay stuff. And I think next year I'm just not going to do that again. I think I'm going to go back to a lot of a mix of both and reviewing all these cards that come out on a borderline day-to-day basis, right? Throwing them in teams and different tactics, trying different things out. So anyway, subscribe if you want to see that stuff next year. But self-promotion over. Let's get into some leaks now. But okay, we're gonna get into the icon stuff now. So I'm gonna actually start with this before we even get into all the icons, because there's a ton of them, right? Most people thought that all these guys were like guaranteed confirmed, and some sources are saying that all these cards you'll see in this video are guaranteed confirmed. Then we have some that are all saying these are in the testing phase right now, and if it's in the testing phase, then these guys are not confirmed to for sure be coming out. So we don't really know which one of these is true. I'm worried almost that the leakers started to say all these guys are 100% in, and some of them, when we get to this point in a couple of months or a month or so, when we see the full icons, won't actually be in the game. Usually about, I'd say 3/4 of the ones that are testing end up being in the actual game. So about 1 in 4 of them don't, though, and some years ends up being higher, some lower, but I'd say it's about 3 in 4. So keep that in mind here, that maybe these are confirmed to all be in, and if so, then it points to a couple things that we will talk about as well here, but you might see 1 or 2 not be in the game. But anyway, firstly here, Iniesta apparently is going to be an icon in FC26. The stats we don't have any idea for on most of these guys, so most of them you'll see here are predictions, but Iniesta here. What playstyle plus should these guys get though? Iniesta Incisive Pass I think just makes the most sense, but if you guys could let me know what playstyle pluses these cards should get. So for me, Iniesta Incisive Pass, that kind of just makes too much sense. Okay, but very happy to see him on the way. Next up here, we got Alex Morgan. Took 1 year for her to be back into possibly being an icon in FC26, and I think she ended off her career with First Touch Plus. I think she had Finesse Shot Plus, then they gave her First Touch Plus, so I don't know what they'll give her in terms of her icon card, but it might end up being First Touch, hopefully not. But she was obviously very, very good in the game when she was in, so cool to see her added back, at least potentially here. Then Francesco Totti, also going to be an icon, and this is why it's like, it's hard to believe that as we go through these, that all these guys are coming coming because there's just so many of them that if this is the case, it'll be the biggest year for icons ever. And then also it points towards possible competition that we can get into. But Francesco Totti, sure, prediction stats there. What playstyle plus should Totti get? I don't really know, honestly. Let me know in the comments what you guys think he should get. But cool to see Totti probably in next year's game. But there is still that caveat, and we are not even close to done yet, guys. Marcelo also supposed to be an icon in FC 26. Marcelo with Trickster Plus, it kind of does make sense. Unfortunately, it wouldn't be that great for a left back, but Marcelo, I mean, the stats are predictions, obviously, but he's going to be insane. We've missed Marcelo for the last few years in FIFA, and it will be awesome to have him back in there. Now, the next one is one that I thought we would never see again. I thought legit we would never have this guy ever back in FC again, but Zlatan Ibrahimovic is coming as an icon, apparently, as of now in FC 26, which I honestly did not expect us to ever see this. Like I said, I thought he would go right to maybe the rival of EA whenever that happened, but sometimes you forget just how deep EA's pockets are, and sometimes that's all it takes to mend relationships. A little bit of cash is all it takes, because Ibra and EA were not fans of each other, and now apparently even the fact that he is here shows you that the chances of this happening are pretty likely, and they've for sure gotten over their disagreements. So even if it doesn't end up happening this year, which it probably will, but if it doesn't happen, it's now completely on the table at least for this to exist in the future. So we do actually have his stats, and he's the only icon we, I think, know of his stats of right now. I don't know why I said it like that, but let's go look at those next. And apparently these are his stats as of now, which honestly kind of stunning to me. He's got Power Shot Plus, which if you're going to have an Acrobat Plus playstyle and you don't give it to Ibrahimovic, I'm sorry. I know it's bad for like how good the card actually is supposed to be. If you don't give Zlatan Acrobat Plus, then nobody's getting Acrobat Plus. Okay, I don't know how it's possible to give anybody else that playstyle plus and not Zlatan, but only 84 pace, but 94 shot, 90 dribbling, 89 physical, Power Shot Plus. Ibra deserves a Power Shot playstyle because of course, but still kind of shocking to give him that one. Now, it's more so with these cards supposed to be the promo cards you kind of care about, but I do think this is a little disappointing for Zlatan if this ends up being his stats. I think it's a little disrespectful because I feel like Zlatan, even though he's obviously, what was he, 6'4" or whatever, they kind of, the cliche with the taller guys, they're a little bit slower. Zlatan was not slow. Like, he was not slow at all. I feel like 84 pace is just there to nerf the guy, basically, if that was to be his actual stats. But we're so far away that I doubt his stats will look like this. But yeah, just crazy that this is even a possibility, and it probably will happen, but crazy that this even might happen next year. And if it does happen, I'm actually myself just personally so happy. I never thought we would see this card ever again, and he's one of my favorite players I've ever watched. Like, he helped me fall in love with the sport of football back in 2014, 2015 for an American like me who didn't know anything about the sport, right? But okay, yes, we're not done yet, and Giorgio Chiellini. As a Juventus fan, I got to admit, I did have to change my pants. It's something I'm not ashamed of. And low-key kind of cooked with Jockey Plus. I like Jockey Plus on Chiellini, honestly. I think that that's a good playstyle plus for him. So well done, Exo FIFA, but Chiellini in the testing phase here. Another, great card potentially coming in. We are still not done yet. Toni Kroos is coming as an icon next year as well, and I absolutely love that we only had 1 year of no Toni Kroos. That makes me so happy. I love Toni Kroos. I know as an American, I'm literally saying his name wrong, but I can't help it. And I saw some debate about long ball or incisive for Toni Kroos. If you guys had to pick one, which one would it be? For me, maybe long ball as well. I'd also pick here like Sheriff and whoever made this graphic did, but I saw some concepts with incisive pass. What do you guys think he deserves? Or neither of them? Which one do you think it should be? But yeah, they know how to get the pre-orders. If all these icons are legit confirmed, the pre-orders will not look as bad as last year. I'll tell you that much. The pre-orders will definitely not be as bad as last year. Now, we keep going. Next up is Arjen Robben, apparently is going to be an icon. Now, this one is more debatable because apparently this is just Detective Fut who has this leak. He says Robben's going to be an icon in next year's game, but apparently the leakers who are seeing the testing phase players right now are not seeing Arjen Robben. Now, keep in mind, last year Robben was in the testing phase, so there's a chance that like they have him actually already tested and ready to go for this year's game, so he doesn't need to be in the testing phase. But there is a slight grain of salt on this one that the leakers don't have him apart from Detective Fut, and Detective Fut has been reliable in the past, so I think he's not lying. His source probably tells him Robben's coming, but just letting you know, there is some debate within like the leakers about Arjen Robben. But Robben, finesse shot plus makes the most sense for him. First 1-star weak foot icon maybe, but it will be awesome to have him back in the game if he's coming out. And we've got like one more really big one, and that's Ali Khan here, who's going to be an awesome goalkeeper as well, so that's really cool to see. Now we'll get like a big graphic of all the players coming, because there are some women's cards as well that I've got to to admit, I have no idea who they are, but we got Cece here. Cece, I apologize. Just predictions on her stats there, but okay. Brazilian women's icon there. Cruz, Iniesta, Marcelo, Chiellini, we already saw. Then down here, we got some more Boom Kun Cha, who I gotta admit, also don't know who that is. If you're Korean and can give me a backstory on him, that would be awesome. I'd love to learn about him. But then we got Jones and Seger, not sure once again how to say it. But yeah, even if worst case scenario, you see 75% of these guys, it'll be awesome still because you're gonna see a lot of great cards we've been asking for. But best case scenario is, yeah, we see all these guys in the game next year. And remember also, we have Dunga added to FC Online, plus we have Bierhoff as well added to FC Online. Then we have the other heroes we saw earlier this year, like the Mandzukic's, Barzagli, Marwan Fellaini was in there. I forgot who was in that batch, damn. But there was like 9 or 10 new heroes as well. So this isn't even all the ones confirmed. Yeah, kind of crazy. It makes sense as to make this kind of a business strategy because pre-orders were bad last year. Putting these legends back in the game does make a lot of sense to try and drive up pre-orders, right? It definitely does. And I also wanted to say, do you guys think the whole, like, just one version of the icon is better than up here where we had the 3 versions? And sorry for the bad picture quality there, but now that we've had a couple of years of this, do you think that this system is better or do you think it's worse? Because I low-key, like, kind of want to say I liked parts of the base, mid, and prime icon system better, but then also I do like having promo icons. So kind of which one would you rather have there? The replies are pretty split. Like promo is 114 likes here, and then base, mid, prime is 380 likes. But people tend to be more nostalgic towards the older things and forget kind of the stuff we didn't like about that. So what do you guys think though? My first thought is like I like this system better, but also having no promo icons might kind of suck. Not sure. I see him post everywhere about we're actually unks now. How are these guys icons? To me, what makes me feel actually old is Toni Kroos being an icon. That to me, that's the one where I'm like, damn, we actually are getting old, I think. And okay, FC25 does exist, and we do have the women's Euros Path to Glory coming to packs here soon. And there are some pretty cool players coming in here, like a lot of meta women's cards that you've seen over the years. Well, the last 2 years, you got Guro Wrighton in there. You've got Rolfo, Mami, who will be in there. Gioro, Parayuelo. I think I'm saying that right. I apologize once again, but Gwyn, Cascarino, Harder, Paredes, like a lot of cards in here that you've seen before that might actually end up being kind of meta. They're going to be upgradable. This does confirm to me that the greats of the game icons are probably going to be just the women's cards if I had to guess. And that does make sense as it's supposed to be kind of a side promo, which you would expect if it was a men's and women's promo, it wouldn't be a side promo. But stats, it doesn't say if they're confirmed or not, so I'm not exactly sure here. And then also with FC25, dynamic images for Team of the Week 16. They were updated today, guys. I don't know if you saw this or not, but Trent, Cunha, some other cards too, got some dynamics today. And why were they working on this? I have no idea. There were some people saying that they're going to get sued, like they had like the wrong images, like they didn't have the license for the images on there. But the problem with that is that that could be true if they had dynamics in the first place. Like they changed them. They didn't. They had no dynamics in the first place. So that can't be the reason. What was the reason here? I have no idea why they changed these now. Maybe it was some sort of weird glitch and that's why they weren't in there, but the priorities here, maybe not in the right spot, but maybe the graphic design team was just bored as shit with nothing to do. And they were like, hey, remember Team of the Week 16? They didn't get any dynamics. Well, I have an idea. So that was kind of a strange one. But then here, Jude Bellingham is the cover star for the new FC, if anybody still kind of cares about the cover stars anymore. And last bit of news here, Bayern did sign with EA Sports. We thought that might have happened since the whole eFootball thing. So it's confirmed now, though, that if you're a career mode fan, Allianz Arena will be back in the game next year for you guys. And side note, I have been seeing that apparently divisions right now, everyone's talking about how hard divisions is and like matchmaking for like Div 3 players. They're 13 win players and they're in Div 3 and they can't get out of it. So I don't know what's going on here. If maybe there's like just like the super hardcore players and the super casuals are still left. So there's kind of no in between, or I don't know what it is. Honestly, I don't know, but apparently matchmaking might be weird right now. There's been theories of that all year and I've been seeing that like crazy all day today on Twitter and on Reddit that the matchmaking in Rivals is like super weird and kind of wonky. But okay, so with the market right now, a couple things. The first thing is that we're going to get a best of, probably not until like post shapeshifters, I would assume. But thinking about the exchanges right now, right? You're probably going to see a lot of the 88s and 89 rated cards in here end up being in packs as special cards, right? And the problem with that is that all special cards, their price ranges are 10,000 coins. So what might end up happening to the 89 exchanges and the 88 exchanges, maybe not the 85, 86, and 87s, but 88s and 89s, I would say, these guys will end up going up a lot in price because you're going to have, say, for 89 rated cards, you have a Hezerberg and Odegaard who are in packs. And after that, Van Dijk, Alisson, Ter Stegen, Donnarumma, Mapai Leon are all out of packs, right? There's a chance that that messes a lot with the exchanges and the 89s have to go up. And same with the 90s too, because it is now 89 or higher. So maybe actually with the 90s and 91s also being under 10K, it maybe won't be as bad of a problem, but I can foresee that being an issue here. So something to keep in mind that you might end up wanting to almost in, say, a week's time when the best ofs might be coming back soon, buy a lot of 88s and 89s if you want to do the exchanges. Because I think the 87s, 86s will be still just fine, but 88s and 89s, you actually might want to buy a lot of the gold ones prior to best ofs coming out, which hard to know when that'll be, and we'll know on the channel obviously when we see those leaks. But yeah, kind of a problem I just thought of that I'm like, that might actually have an issue or be an issue one day, and just kind of throwing that out there for you guys. But okay, let's read some of your comments now. We got Hollow MDG who says, bro, I don't agree at all. EA should always be talking to the community, and a key way to do that is speaking with large creators. That's not desperation, that's just being smart. But talking is not enough. They should be actively incorporating the advice. And this is the thing that maybe my distinction was unclear. I'm not saying they should not be talking to the community, because I think they definitely should be. I think they actually don't do that enough. Some people have said before that they listen to us too much and that that's how we've ended up here. I would disagree with that. But to me, where the desperation came in is the fact that they're asking him, who is like so staunchly against EA that in previous years they would have sat there and been like, we're not going to ask you because we're not going to associate ourselves with you, because he literally insults them on a day-to-day basis, right? So you can understand how somebody on the outside looking in would go, man, it seems like EA are just doing like, hey, you got any advice? You know, you got any ideas? But at the same time, yes, you're exactly right. I do want them to reach out to people and talk. So in one hand, maybe that's just me being very unfair and they can't win in the situation, right? There's a chance of that for sure. But I think it's undeniably funny. The guy who insults them constantly, they're like, hey, you got any ideas, right? If they ask me one day, then you know all hell's probably broken loose. And I totally agree, like Jelly Charlie was saying here too. If I'm running a business, I want to reach out to guys like him so that they're not kissing my ass, right? And I totally agree with that, and they should do that, but EA don't do that. You know, that's where the difference is. But maybe they're making an effort to do that now. Maybe they're trying to actively do that now, which I give them credit for. But at the same time, there's still no way for like the average person to try and talk to them. Maybe the EA forums is the best way, but there's no community manager anymore. Like that's where to me I'm less sympathetic towards them. Even if they reach out to people like him, it's like, okay, but what about like the average FIFA player? They can't talk to EA because there's nobody to talk to. Gator Doc saying, it does not seem hard for me to keep current interest in this game. Re-release tournament winner cards and packs per week of shapeshifters with some improved pack luck, add them to champs rewards, make it interesting, let us pack some cards to try. As of now, what is the motivation to grind? And this to me is one of those things too where maybe I am missing the more complicated aspects of the game, but to me I don't think it's that hard to keep interest in this game at certain points. I think EA just overcomplicates it sometimes. Like putting more cards in the packs makes it more interesting, even if the pack weight is bad still, which you don't want it to be, but even if it was bad, it's still more interesting with a chance to pack more cards. Like there's so many little things they could do to just make the game more interesting that they just for some reason can't get themselves to do. But I think about like, okay, how would I make the game more interesting right now? There's like 3 or 4 things that immediately do that I feel like wouldn't be that bad or that big of a deal, that just immediately make it somewhat more interesting, and EA won't do that. Maybe I'm missing something here and it's more complicated, but it seems like not that difficult to me to make things more interesting. And an interesting comment from Martz here. My thoughts on the game: I work for a company much larger than EA and have served on the lower management team, so I have an idea how multi-billion-dollar companies work. And we won't read the whole thing here, but there's a couple interesting things. Like for me, the FC situation is really in a bad place for EA. The moves they're making seem quite desperate. The player base must be dropping an alarming amount for EA to be making these decisions. It looks like they've pretty much given up on the current iteration of this game, fully invested into next year. He says here, I'd also surmise that EA are making cuts in every department, or at least not replacing the ones that are leaving. I also have a suspicion that EA are blaming the player base for the loss in profits, hence the lack of content and haphazard SBC content. Just my 2 cents worth. And I always love insights like this. this, even if it ends up being complete bullshit. I always love insights like this because working for large companies like this, it's hard for some of us to understand what that looks like from like the ground up, right? We think of EA as like one big entity when there's so many different layers to it. And in my comment section personally, everybody who says like they might have some slight idea of how this stuff works, it does seem like they are in a pretty tough spot right now. That's kind of the consensus, and it's hard to know that without, you know, knowing the specifics, but you're not the only one that has said this kind of thing. And yeah, I don't know. I think next year probably is that year for them that is the most make or break year in their history. I know some people said that last year, but I think that the profits didn't really stop increasing until this year. This is the first year there was a really big like, hey, we didn't make what we thought we would. This was the first year of that. And if that happens again, it's going to be really, really tough. So even if for some people it was like the breaking point, maybe 2 years ago, 3 years ago, whatever, for EA, I think they think of this year where GTA 6 was a possibility. Now FIFA 2K could potentially come out in years, whatever it might be, where they're like, hey, we got to kind of step it up and do some different shit because we kind of can't have what happened again this year. Now, is that just cope? It definitely could be, but I think actions speak louder than words, and the reason we saw so much new stuff this year in the middle of the year is because they felt like they had to. But I don't know, guys. What do you all think in the comments? And thank you guys for being here and watching today. I love y'all. Servers home. Peace.